I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on The Key to the Golden Firebird by Maureen Johnson. I was sent this book by Hotkey Books, but as usual, if I'm sent a book that has no bearing on my actual review, this is all completely honest in my opinion. And also, I did not purposely match the book. I just happened to dress this way this morning for work, and then I knew I was going to do the review, and when I picked up the book, I realized I was matching, and I'm not going to change. So yeah. This is the first contemporary novel by Maureen Johnson that I have read. I read The Name of the Star and The Madness Underneath, which are both more like paranormal type books. This book follows three sisters, Brooks, May, and Parker, and it is basically just following their lives after their father passes away suddenly. In the beginning of the book, you get a glimpse of what their life was like before their father passes away. They seem really close and, they hang out and talk and do, normal sister type things. And then after their father passes away, they all sort of just, fall apart in different ways. Brooks is the oldest and she's about a senior in high school and she seems to be struggling with drinking. May is the second oldest and she goes to a private school and she is sort of the one who keeps it all together. She works really hard to behave and get good grades and she hopes to go away to college on scholarship. Parker is the youngest one and she is sort of all over the place and you don't really see too much about her. This was a really interesting book to read. Like I said, I haven't read any of Maureen Johnson's contemporary works and I was a little bit hesitant about it just because I really like Maureen Johnson's writing style, but I was a little bit worried reading this one just because I hadn't read any of her contemporary stuff, and also this is one of her earlier books, so I wasn't sure, how developed her writing style would be at this point, and I felt like this might lean towards the cheesy a little bit, especially with covers like this. It's easy to judge the book and just be like, oh, this is just going to be like a cheesy teen novel. And while there are some moments that are a little bit typical and there are moments that are very teen in a stereotypical sense, I feel like Maureen Johnson has just really strong writing and she deals with a lot of things that you wouldn't think would be covered in a YA book, with the main focus being that the father passes away. It really does a good job of showing how these three girls are dealing with it or not dealing with it in certain situations. I think she does a really good job of showing how people actually do mourn over the death of a loved one, especially when they're young. After I'd read the book, I went on Goodreads and was putting up my rating, and I was just scrolling through to see what other people were saying about this book, and one thing I was noticing was people were talking about how annoying the three girls are, and I do agree with those people in a certain sense, but at the same time, one, they're teenagers. I feel like there is a little bit of self-centeredness that happens to everyone when they're a teenager, and two, they just lost their father, and I feel like this is sort of all of them rebelling in different ways. A lot of the decisions that are made in this book, you want to take these girls and shake them and be like, why are you making such bad decisions? But then at the same time, you completely understand why they're making bad decisions. It's because they don't really seem to have a parental figure in their life. One thing that is a little bit bothersome is the fact that their mom is barely present in this entire book, and I don't know if that's supposed to be a comment about how their mom was sort of dealing with the death of their father, or if it's just one of those situations where in contemporary YA it just always seems like the parents just are not around, and that's one of my YA pet peeves, so that bothered me just a little bit. They do address it a little bit, especially towards the end of the book, but I don't know, I just don't always like that fact. But I think overall Maureen Johnson does a really good job of showing how people deal with death, and also she provides a lot of growth for the characters in this book. Even though it's not a very long book, a lot does happen to them over the course of these 3 months. In the end, I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I liked it, but I didn't love it. Again, I really like the way Maureen Johnson writes, and I think she touches on a lot of really important topics, but a lot of times I wish she would just go deeper into the topic, especially because she's covering 3 different girls here, and things just sort of wrap up in the end, and it doesn't feel like enough time had passed to have all of that wrap up so nicely. But I wouldn't say by any means that this is a bad book or anything like that. I really enjoyed this and I really want to read more Maureen Johnson because I just like her stories. But if you're someone who doesn't read a lot of YA or doesn't like YA, this wouldn't necessarily be the best YA book to try. But if you're someone who really likes YA books and really likes specifically contemporary stories and you haven't read this book yet, this is definitely going to be for you. Just Just one note, this edition is the Hotkey Books edition. Like I had mentioned earlier, I was sent this book, but this is only available in the United Kingdom, I believe. I don't remember if it's available in other countries in Europe. But if you go to the Book Depository website, I believe you can get this edition. So yeah, those are my general thoughts on The Key to the Golden Firebird by Maureen Johnson. If you have read this book, feel free to leave your comments down below letting me know what you thought of it, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, or if you've read some of Maureen Johnson's other works. You can always leave a comment, let me know what you thought of those, especially if you've read some of her other contemporary works. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.